Two, one. Is it recording? Okay. Hey, welcome back to my podcast. I'm your host, Lolo, and today I brought a guest. It's the one and only Caesar Cantrell. Everybody knows Caesar. There's no need for introductions, but he's humble, so he's going to do one anyways. So, Caesar, go ahead and introduce yourself to my audience of just one professor.
Hi, my name's Caesar. I'm a high school friend. I go to Texas A&M. I major in aerospace engineering. I'd like to acknowledge that I am being recorded and that one person will hear this, and I give my full consent for it.
All right, cool. So what Caesar's failed to mention in his little introduction is that he's super intelligent. There's no better brain to discuss the topics that I have in mind today.
Thanks for the compliment. Why though? Like, are the topics gonna be hard or?
I don't think so. They're just kind of awkward. You don't typically talk about these things like out loud. So I'm just curious as to what you think, because I don't think I've ever heard you talk about anything like this before. And what we're going to be talking about is going to be like Zesty Religious Man. We're going to be talking about race play. So the Zesty Religious Man that I have in mind are none other than the evangelicals. And we're going to be discussing their sex lives. So, are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So I have some information that might surprise you. But first, I want to start off by asking you, what kind of knowledge or assumptions do you have about the evangelical men's sex lives?
I not much, but aren't they like super religious guys? I'd assume, since it's a sect of Christianity, if I'm getting that right.
Yeah, they are. I know your family isn't like evangelical, but like they follow some form of Christianity, right?
Yes. I don't know what specific sect. I myself not very religious. But yeah, if the values of a typical evangelical man or anything like a traditional Christian Latino family, then yeah, sex is not really openly talked about. It's kind of looked down upon. You have to keep it private. Yeah, and you just can't be talking about it. And if you are, it's got to be like normal activities, nothing too out of the box.
What do you mean by like too out of the box? Like what constitutes as a normal activity?
Uh, So just the bait, like usually what people think of when they just think of vanilla, like sexual activities, like only missionary, only in bed, man on top, usually no toys or no other holes. Just, yeah, typical stuff.
Yeah, okay. So what about like anal and cross dressing? Would you consider that as like normal activities, like inside the box?
I no, I don't know. Like I think all that is fine, but usually that's not on society. It's not typically seen as a regular thing. Cross dressing, it would be like wild for some people.
Yeah, right? That makes sense. So, actually, there has been research done by Kelsey Burke on evangelical men's sexual activities. And what she found that these guys are actually participating in anal sex and cross dressing with their wives. And this is all in like the name of God, too.
Really? Like
Yeah.
anal? Like they're the ones getting like pegged.
Yeah.
Hmm. Which
How do you feel about that?
it's surprising in a way, because it's like religious people. Like I'd assume that'd be looked down upon. I wouldn't it be a little bit hypocritical, because anal sex is associated with gay people, so and many Christians are against that. So wouldn't they themselves be also against anal sex?
Yeah, right? It's kind of hypocritical. But they actually justify it in a couple of ways. So one of the ways is that God created sex for men and women to enjoy their marriage. So, anything that makes the sex better is basically, like worshiping the gods and the gift that they gave to the marriage. So hearing this and this justification I just told you about, does this challenge your beliefs at all about like deviant sex within evangelical men?
Hmm. Um, that it doesn't really hit home for me. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing more like spicy
Uh-huh.
the bedroom, but I don't think sex is a gift from God or whatever to enjoy marriage, because sex outside marriage is super common. I don't know anybody who hasn't had sex outside of marriage.
Mhm.
So like I can enjoy it in a marriage, but I can also enjoy it outside of marriage. You know what I mean? It's not just for me to enjoy my marriage with.
Right, right. So this whole, sex is a gift from God thing, it doesn't really change what you thought before, right? Sex is just sex.
Uh, no, I think it's super interesting. It could even be seen as an excuse, like a way to justify this act, but it doesn't really change.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, I have the same beliefs as you, sex outside of marriage, but like in the context of like them, like evangelical men, sex outside of marriage is a sin. So really, you can only enjoy sex when it's inside of marriage. It may not be true for us, but it is true for them.
Hmm.
So, by the way, did you know Burke actually collected most of this information off a website where evangelical men come together and discuss like all this, and they give tips to each other about these kind of deviant bedroom activities?
There's a whole website for this stuff. Well, I mean, I guess there might be because there's website for everything, but still, is it like
Yes.
a support group or like a Reddit for religious people?
I don't know. I really haven't been to the website myself, but imagine it'd be more like a support group.
Hmm.
Yeah. So another way that I want to bring up how they justify their interests in like deviant sex and stuff. So basically, instead of seeing their deviance as like not deviant, like in the example I gave you before, this time they do see it as deviant, but then they acknowledge it's not normal. And it might even be a little fruity.
Hmm.
But like everything else they do in their lives, like these evangelical men, they do typical white man things. They go to church, they pray to God, they play golf, they do whatever, right? And
Hmm.
since they're so like mega straight like this, anything that like do that's like doesn't fall in that bubble, it's like irrelevant. Like it's fine because I do everything else that's like super mega straight. So with that being said, however, this only works if you're an evangelical white man. So say you're a man of color and you're getting pegged in your bed. This isn't gonna fly for you. Like you may go to God, you may go to church, pray to God, and you may play golf, but you're a man of color. So this isn't gonna work for you. And you will never be mega straight enough to be able to justify the kind of activities you do.
Hmm. So their justification for it is that what every other good white evangelical man does. Because of that, it's okay to be a little sus.
Yeah, basically. And I want to ask you, knowing that you're a man of color, how do you react to the fact that like this kind of like, wild, crazy justification doesn't apply to you?
Um, well, I don't take it that personally. Obviously, there are a bunch of stereotypes about what old white religious men think about people like me. I don't really care that they bring me men like me uh, down in order to lift themselves up. It hasn't really hurt me personally, but it definitely hurts them more if you stoop to such levels just to justify your cravings of different types of sex. It's valid either way, and there's nothing wrong with it. But I don't think you should bring your whole religion and race and all that just to try to justify it.
Yeah, I mean, you said your family practices a level of Christianity. Do you think God and religion promote this level of discrimination?
Uh, I can't say for God. I definitely lean more on the atheist side, but some of religion's practices are a bit outdated and they can be harmful, right? While many have converted in recent years, have been more accepting, some still haven't. Even when we're talking about pegging or cross dressing, there's still like those subtle hints of racism and homophobia involved in religion nowadays.
Interesting. I knew you'd have a lot of similarities with me. And I'm just saying, like, if you want to get pegged, and like, just get pegged. It doesn't make you gay. God won't condemn you. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't know because I'm Buddhist, right? And Buddha doesn't care or say anything about getting pegged.
Mm-hmm. Uh, I well, not that I know, but I don't think Jesus or the Bible did either. But personally, as a man, I wouldn't want to get pegged. It's just not my thing. Kind of seems awful. And as my homies, if you're out here being pegged for enjoyment, I'm gonna look at you funny.
That's because your boys aren't mega straight. So it's not justifying that makes you gay, right? I love all those.
Nah, anal is just a gay thing in general.
Yeah, it's typically known to be like that. All right. I mean, that was a good discussion. It was fun to have you on the podcast. And since I know you already pretty good, I already kind of had like a good idea what your views were. And I think it ended up being right for the most part. I mean, with the whole like evangelical men like getting pegged and stuff and like cross-dressing and them trying to justify this by wanting to say like, oh, I'm super mega straight in other ways, so if I do this it's fine. I already had an idea of like your views, and you basically said, it just seems like an excuse essentially. Didn't seem right. Kind of just seems like they're just pushing away this part of themselves when they should really just embrace it. And I really agree with that. I think it's a good idea. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to do it. Thank you for being on this podcast, Caesar.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. All right. See you around.